Welcome to Hashtag with Navguzi Chwanuka. This is a place where we help you unravel social constructs, discuss self-development in line with mental health, emotional well-being, and everything in between that directly or indirectly affects us in the millennial world around us. If you're hearing my voice for the first time and are the kind of person who is not scared of being a better version of yourself even if it requires you to contradict who you were 24 hours ago, consider this your virtual home. I'm your host, Navguzi Chwanuka, and I cannot wait to engage with you in the various conversations. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 84 of Hashtag with Navguzi Chwanuka. Jackie Kyolaba paid us a visit some weeks ago, and the conversation I had with her that day is what we have for today's episode. Jackie's story is one that highlights her life before and after she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. In this episode, she is not just a vessel of hope, but a channel through which courage flows. This episode contains material that may be traumatizing to some audiences, so listener discretion is advised. If anything resonates with you during our conversation, share with us on social media with the hashtag HTNKNStation. Here is our episode. Jackie, welcome to Hashtag with Navguzi Chwanuka.
Thank you very much.
You do not know me so well. I ambushed you, but you were just so gracious. You're like, it's okay. And I was like, okay. So thank you so much for gracing the invitation.
You're welcome.
Tell us about who Jackie is.
My name is Kyolaba Jacqueline Lydia. I am a 30-year-old Ugandan from Bukoma Nsimbi, Masaka, the Greater Masaka.
Greater Masaka. Is there a lesser one?
That's what our society has said about Masaka, Greater Masaka. I am a mother of one, and I expecting another one along the way. I am engaged to Mwami Kasule. I am a teacher by profession. I teach English, literature, and journal paper. I also do cognitive behavioral therapy, which the Ugandan community considers as counseling. I am a Christian, although respect all denominations of religion.
How did you end up becoming the teacher that you are, especially English and literature? Is it something that was interesting for you as a child?
When I was in primary 2 at St. Mary's Immaculate, Villa Maria Masaka, my teacher asked what I wanted to be in future, and I told her I wanted to be a teacher. I guess then I was just a child. I did not have a clue about career, but at least I spoke that at the age of 8. And past primary, I thought about law, and my friends thought about me being a better mass communicator. I saw myself there as I joined the clubs of debating, communications and things in high school. People thought I was a great anchor of news, and they saw me on TV or radio. But then instantly in 2010, when I was amongst the best scholars of USCE results, the government made a scholarship for me, and they dictated education in English and literature. I enrolled it because I did not think if I taught English or literature, it would be bad. And I have no regrets of being a teacher of English and literature.
Oh, people could swear they would never be teachers. How is it that you're stuck with it?
Teaching is like a calling. Not everyone that has done education is a teacher.
Right.
So it happens that you are more than just a teacher, but a nurturer, a person who wants to see the generation change, a person who wants to extend much more than knowledge. And I think that is what best makes me a teacher.
Right. And then as a cognitive behavioral therapist, how did you choose that? How did you come to that place?
Cognitive behavioral therapy is about talk therapy, but is just entirely talk. Counseling, most people think counselors have gifts. But what makes counselors better healers is they give the ear a lot of time, and they also talk in the best knowledge of what they have had. People say right from a tender age that I have been a good talker and I am also good at listening. In 2015, when I graduated with honor honors, I first worked with a hospital as an administrator, and the counseling department did not have staff then. But I knew what to talk to people. So always the clinicians and the doctors would guide in people that needed counseling to my office. That is how I began counseling. And I think in a period of 4 months, I had already gotten 8 clients and they were positive and they were moving on with their life. That's how the cognitive behavioral therapy started. And since then, I have not lost track.
And you found it, I've noticed you found it very important to mention that you are a Christian. Why do you find that important to declare?
I so much believe that the atheists believe that there is no supernatural being. But I have had encounters when no one or no human in the world was by my side. But there is that strange being who's been around. Mm-hmm. So the doctrines that I learned from childhood are Christian. So I believe, I don't know what people may call that supernatural being.
Right.
But I believe that maybe that is the Lord, because I so much believe that this person who stands by my side when no human can understand what I'm going through or anything, who is that? That supernatural being, I relate to them as the Almighty. That's what makes me Christian.
Right.
Yeah.
And the podcast normalizes conversations on mental health. And I know you've not really had enough time to have a feel of what it's like, because I just met you last Saturday. But we normalize conversations on mental health. And I would like to know what your first encounter with mental health could have been. Did you hear about it in a certain way before going as far as suffering from it?
Mental health could be that when we are still young, we do not know what it is.
Right.
It's after maturing that you know, okay, this was mental health. I needed help here. Mm-hmm. Growing up, I did not grow up in my parents' home. It's so unfortunate that my mom and dad do not have a house in Kampala or in neighboring districts. And also coming from a broken marriage, I grew up with a single parent, being my mama. I am noticing it now that I had not a bad upbringing, but there was some void in me that needed to be heard, that was not heard. Mm-hmm. I needed to have a person to rely on in life, and there was no one. That emptiness in me, I am noticing now, brought some effect on my adulthood. That no wonder at some age, that is when the mental breakdown came in. But I allude to my past childhood experiences of not lacking food, no. Of not just lacking fees, no, because everything that is sustainable was around. But there is that void in me that people that have not gone through will not understand. And I think it's then that the damage began. And when I came to university, I had that emptiness grow. That is when I thought this emptiness can be filled by another person in my life. I thought maybe if I get a boyfriend, I'll feel complete, because I was longing to see myself complete. The space and the void created by my papa, because he was not around, that male being in my life, I didn't know anything about it. And I think in one or another it affected me, or it even affects me to date. Mm-hmm. I think lately I believe that it is then that mental health started. Although the triggers that led to the breakdown or anything could be different. Mm-hmm. But childhood memories have a lot to do with this journey of mental health, according to me.
Yeah.
Sure.
And when was it that you had a total breakdown? Do you have a recollection of when it could have started?
Yes, I do. Because I have read and made lots of research about the diagnosis I have. And I have bipolar disorder, which is a combination of mania and depression. And I've been diagnosed with that since 2015, August.
That is 7 years now.
That's very true. However, I think I started getting down in 2014, August.
That is like a year later?
Yes, because I can recollect whatever happened and how it was transitioning until when I got a total shutdown. I was in a relationship where I loved someone more than I loved myself or anything else in the world.
Right.
Now, I think because of the emptiness or the void that I felt of lacking that ear, that listener, the comforter, when I met this Prince Charming, I thought I had gotten it all. I entrusted him with everything. I think people who have been in that love can testify. When you don't have anything to lose, you'd better have this person.
Right.
Even if it meant going away from your family, better you settled with that person. So I was with him. The first year, it was great. The second year, I began seeing red lights. And one unfaithful day, I met him pants down with another woman in bed. That day...
Had you moved in with him? Or was it like a visit?
We were living together literally because I had finished university and waiting for graduation. Fine, I had my own place, but most of the time I would be at his place because I was just waiting for graduation. So I would be at his house like 3 days a week and then be at my place 4 days a week.
Right.
So I just bump in abruptly and meet him pants down with another woman. A woman I knew as our friend and even much older than I am.
Whoa.
That very moment, I felt some sparks in my head. It got too silent on me that I just chose to stand there. I was at the verge of getting shocked. I think I got shocked and even much more than shock.
So you just froze?
I froze. That's the right word, thank you. And then they dressed up and she left.
And you were just looking like...
Yes, I didn't say
move.
a word. Yes, that's true. Now, that is the start, right? So when she leaves, I ask him, what's happening? And he said, I have cheated, but I'm sorry. That was that devastation of my life because I've been hurt before, but never like that one. That was August 2014. Recollected myself, left his place and went back to my house, which was around a 10 minutes drive from his house to my house. I called a friend, told him that my then boyfriend was cheating and I had caught him red-handed. And she came in to help and she slept in the night. That very night, this guy comes to my door and he tells me he's sorry. He didn't mean to hurt me or things of the sort. I give him a hot slap. I was bitter. And he leaves. That night at around 2, I began crying and I walked to town. I was living then in Chitebi, a suburb of Kampala. I walked to town crying out loudly because not even my friend that was laying in the same bed I was hurt the way I was hurt. I think that began eating me up. Fast forward.
Why did you move to town?
I could not get sleep. I chose to cry and I chose to cry out loud. I thought when I cry out loud, I would feel better. I ran to the nearby medical center. I was just crying. I didn't have the right words to tell the doctor, but they didn't care about me. They just asked me what is wrong and I was just crying. It is then that I noticed that there are very many people who go to hospitals or medical centers but are not clinically sick. They just need an ear. And that's what we know about hospitals. No wonder I chose to do cognitive behavioral therapy. Because that day I walked in the hospital crying. And the nurses were asking, what's wrong? I think that time I needed maybe a hug to feel a little better. And at 6, I am back to the room and I'm smiling with my friend.
So you spent the whole night at the medical center?
No, walking around, but crying. After something like 2 weeks.
No one came to your aid? Like even people on the streets? Were there people on the road?
Of course, the border cyclists would ask where I was going or things of the sort. But I just continued walking. I thank God I didn't get an accident or something of the sort.
Right.
So I come back to my place and in the morning I take a bath and then go to town. I was helping my mom downtown and I tell her about it. I tell her, you know what, my boyfriend was cheating, and, she tells me she's so sorry to hear that. And I tell her it hurts. And I told her that in case she sees me break down, she should just help me, because I could not hide it from anyone. My eyes were swollen and I was hurt. Anyone could read it in my eyes. Fast forward, he came back and apologized. Me being naive, I gave him a second chance.
Right.
And after giving him a second chance, everything was not back to the normal. Because, trust is like a glass. Once broken, cannot be mended. You can buy another glass, but it won't replace the old one. I didn't trust him anymore. And worst of all, he continued with that relationship with that old lady. I could see it in his chats. Or she would call once in a while when I'm with him. And this is a lady who was married. Time came and I didn't give up, I'm sorry to say. Because he had given me the best love that I have never seen. I had never seen, sorry. And I thought maybe he was like a father figure to me. He was like a brother. He was a best friend and everything. So our circumstances led to his departure, and he was no more in the country for a whole 2 years. I waited on for him. And in that period, that's when I get to graduation. And then I begin working at the hospital. And the stress would be on. Once in a while, I recall the memories and cry. I got too desperate to get out myself. I would pray and talk to God and tell God, I'm tired of this. But the pain would not cease. Now, something strange would happen to me. I would sleep less. Sleeping like only 3 hours a night, 2 hours a night. And then I began being so talkative. My boss noticed that.
Right.
While I worked at my first job. So one day I go to church and I tell my pastor that I'm going to get married and God has prepared a husband for me. And I'm speaking about another name of some guy.
So had you broken up officially with the other person?
No, the fact that he was nowhere to be seen anymore, literally as though the space was there, better we had not cancelled it. Better it didn't feel that strong the way it had been. Because after time, he told me that when he went away, he wanted to move on with his life, but he hadn't told me that. So I got so desperate for marriage.
Right.
I wanted to be married. I wanted to start afresh. I think that began eating me up also. I was too desperate to get solutions for the problems I had in life. Remember that my friends and family had warned me against dating that ex-boyfriend of mine. So when this...
Why were they warning you?
I don't know.
They already knew him?
I don't know. I cannot tell. Maybe there were angels trying to speak to me. And guess what was happening to me? I would be the opposite of what they're advising me to do. So no wonder when that cheating came on, I could not have anyone to open up to because they had warned me on several occasions, including my aunts and my moms and the people around me. The people told me he's not a good guy, but I was blinded. Yes. And I draw this to the void of childhood.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Yes, because with him, I felt protected. With him, I felt understood. He was a good listener. He was a good cook. You can imagine when you go to visit him and he tells you, please just rest. Let me do the cooking.
Yeah.
He gave you a picture of what family is going to be. I don't know what happened along the way, but the first 1 year and a half was a great one. I don't know. I think it was God's reasons that it later turned out bitter. So while having those desperate moves, I began having sleepless nights, began getting too talkative.
Right.
Then I got too ambitious. I would draw plans of meeting the president of America. I began telling people around me that I'm going to write newspapers for BBC.
Was that because you actually wanted to do these things, or was it random?
No, the breakdown is starting, but slowly. Those are the signs. You get so ambitious, you get so depressed. So mania was taking its root. That time round, I was living the depression sign. And this time round, mania was taking on. You know, when you have mania, mania, for people that don't know what mania is excessive energy or excessive positive vibes.
Right.
So you see yourself everywhere. You want to do this, you want to accomplish that. It is not cool for a person to be over ambitious. So I began getting mania in phases. I began preaching in tongues. I would find myself preaching in a taxi, telling people I am God.
I am God.
Very true.
Wow.
I told people that I speak to God. I told people that I am God and I have connections with God.
You have connections?
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
No, the funny bit about me, I recall most of my experiences. So in August 2014, I shut down mentally. And I was taken back home and taken to church for prayers. And that is when the pastor said we had to go and visit a psychiatrist.
Oh, the pastor advised that.
That's very true.
That is a good pastor. It's not common that we find that. True. Most of the times we are, the demon upon you needs to get out of this girl. You are a child of God. God forbid.
That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
But my pastor advised that I be taken to Bosa ward, a mental ward in Molago.
Right. And that is, you say that is 2014 in August?
That's 2015.
2015 August.
But the reasons for the breakdown began in 2014.
That is a year later.
I had a year of myself in damage and didn't have help.
Here you are in Bosa ward.
Yeah. While there...
What did they tell you?
No, while there, I am in quotes insane. I am speaking to everyone and I think I know them all. I am speaking to everyone. I'm telling them how I'm from America. You
were from America?
That's very true.
In your mind, did you feel like you have seen some American streets?
No way. The fact that some people think I have an accent like those of from the Western world. So people were wondering why someone with good English is speaking very fast. So I was telling them that I'm from America. I've met the president. I was telling them I'm going to give them money. I was telling them I'm going to buy my parents cars and I'm going to build estates and things like that. And they gave me an injection and I shut down.
Oh.
Yes. When you're mentally down, they'll give you an injection. When you have mania, they'll give you an injection and you shut down, you relax.
Right.
That's true.
So was that the first day?
That's very true.
And then going forward, how long were you in Bosa ward?
I was not admitted.
Oh, you weren't?
No way. I was just taken there and I met the psychiatrists. I took the injection and I was taken back home for bed rest, which happened for 3 weeks. And after those 3 weeks, I was taken back to Bosa and did review and started medication.
Did they talk to you? You know how doctors might do a diagnosis and they talk to you to tell you what's going on in your mind?
No, then I was insane in courts. I don't recall any talking to me because then I was not in shape to know what is happening. I had a caretaker and the caretaker would be asked questions and they would answer for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
To tell them what is going on or what they are seeing.
That's very true.
Wow.
So, September...
And they couldn't engage you at all?
Because I was not engageable, my dear. Can you engage someone who's telling the doctor that they told them at university? I was in that boat then. So after... I don't have memory of September 2015. I don't know what happened to me. Yes.
Do you maybe have conversations with your caretakers to have an idea of what they could have been told?
Every time I ask them, they just cry.
Wow.
Yeah.
It must have been very heavy on them.
True, because at one time I asked my brother and he said, let's not talk about that. And I'm like, I need to know. And he said, better or we leave it out. Sometimes silence is golden. That's when I noticed maybe I would have been vulnerable to the extent that when my family recalls the memories, they just can't hold the tears back. But as for me then, I was not hurt. You know when you're not mentally okay.
You don't say.
You don't know anything. Even when you pierce yourself, you don't feel the physical pain. So that first encounter, I did not feel a physical pains or anything because my memory, my mind was off. Yes.
And then, how long were you on medication? Did they just, when you went back for review, after you said a month?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. When you went back for review, what were you told? Were you placed on medication? Were you admitted?
No, I was only admitted on the second relapse. But in September, they continued with the medication, although the medication did not align with my body. There are very many things that changed. I went mute for a whole 2 weeks and also didn't eat anything for 2 weeks, but only drinking.
2 weeks?
Yes. I also recall saliva drooling out of my mouth, and they would tie a cloth around my mouth to keep my mouth open. My mouth shut, rather. So that saliva would be drooling all day, all night. Those are some of the those are some of the memories that I recall, and I'm like, okay, we have been there. Yeah.
And then there are some that you don't remember. So I think I sort of understand when you're like,
for the
I can't revisit that.
The 3 weeks, I don't remember anything.
So how long? Is there a moment where you were confined? Did you ever become a danger to yourself?
Yes, very true. And not only to myself, but also the environment. In September, my caretakers were advised to try treatment that is of African help or African herbal medicines because they thought it being devilish or satanic linked. And they took me off clinical medicine. And we went to my ancestral place, and that's when they would just bathe me with herbs and give me some drinking herbs so that maybe I feel better or something of the sort. And miraculously, I did not relapse that time because people thought, or people think to date, that when you take medication for mental health, you are damaging yourself more and more.
Right.
So because of the ignorance and not having any experience from family, my caretakers and my family didn't have a clue. They were just desperate to see me better. So whatever everyone advised, they would do. So when they advised that we stop the medicine and try herbal treatment, the medicine was stopped, and that was a blunder. So October, November, early December, I am not taking medication, and I am back to Kampala, living a normal life.
Oh yeah? When you left the village?
Yes.
You came out okay?
Yes. I came back to Kampala.
What could have changed?
I do not know. But I guess the medication that I had started at Bosa was helping me. I even don't know about the African medicine. I don't have too much clue about them.
Because how long were you consuming the African prescriptions?
The African prescriptions, most of them were not consumable, but most were for bathing, and others would be for steaming.
Steaming?
Yes. And then sometimes they would pass some things in my nose, things of the sort, that are not consumable.
How long?
I guess that was around a month.
A month, okay.
When I came back to Kampala, I was okay, fairly okay, because I recall everything. I boarded myself from Bukomansimbi and then came back to Kampala, went, saw my things, organized my things. I wanted to start all over again. In December, the same year, I had a breakdown. I relapsed.
What caused the breakdown?
I don't know this time around, but I believe to date that it was stopping the medication. So I relapsed this time around. I was dangerous. So they would lock me up. I relapsed. I would run away or escape from home in the nights. I would be tied up, and then I would be dangerous, but I was not dangerous to the children. True. That's when someone was like, no.
So you wanted, when you say you weren't dangerous to the children, how were you dangerous to the adults?
I would not want to be near an adult. Well, even if someone gave me food, I would throw it to them. But when the children came around, we would dance together.
Oh, yeah?
Sure.
And if a child had brought you food, did they try that tactic, using children to be the ones to eat with?
No, I was in company of adults most of the times. The children just loved coming because I would dance with them, and they never had seen me dance. So to them, I was just pleasure.
You were the cool auntie.
Yeah, sure. So I would tell them I'm going to teach them how to dance.
Right.
So I would tell them, let's switch on TV, and then we would dance. And sometimes I would tell them, let us decorate this house. So we would go and collect flowers. That's what I was doing.
Oh, at least that flowers are better. I thought you wrote with markers on the walls.
I know. Now it was getting, mental health. So if not helped, it gets worse and worse and worse. So one day I escaped from home at 3 a.m. and no one knew. It's a neighbor that called my aunt and told them the girl is out and she's half naked. I went to the shopping mall that is close, and I began kneeling down for the askaris, greeting them. And then I told them I am God and I am the sunshine.
So why was God kneeling?
I don't know. I cannot give a clue. So after some time, I saw my auntie and my brothers come pick me up. And they asked me, why are you out of the house yet you're half naked? I told them, but I am dressed, but I had just a wrap around my body. And they took me. That's when they took me back to Bukoma and Simbi. When they took me back to Bukoma and Simbi, there is a teacher friend of mine who advised that at this time round, let us not try herbal medicine. Let's take the girl to a mental ward in Masaka Hospital. So we went together and I was admitted for a week in Masaka Referral, which some people call Mulago Masaka. And I don't know the name of the ward there. And I was admitted there for a week. That's what I recall. I got my injections, and every morning and evening I would get an injection. But I was so strong that around 5 men had to be holding me so that I get the injection. And I would oppose the psychiatrists on the medicine they give me, because I would tell them I don't need that medicine, I need this type, this one is going to do this to me, because I was doing research before the second relapse. So that is how I was admitted. And on the 27th of December 2015, we were discharged. To date, I've never been admitted again about mental health. Yeah.
So do we look at as the healed version from then?
I'm still recovering. Mental health is just manageable. You can't say you are fully recovered. But I am recovering. I'm on my recovery journey, because every day that comes, you feel much better.
Every day that comes.
That's true.
What are some of the things that you hear, ridiculous things that you hear about people with bipolar? Do you actually feel like we are at a stage where we understand bipolar? Or before we go as far as trying to understand whether we actually do understand bipolar, can you paint for us a picture of what bipolar looks like?
Bipolar is a combination of, bi is two, right? And you have depressive moments and you have manic episodes. That means you can be too sad, and at the same time, you can have excessive energy the body cannot handle.
The body cannot handle.
Yes. No wonder you will find people that have illnesses, mental illnesses like bipolar in particular. Someone is walking on the street, they're holding this, they're holding around 10 kilograms of luggage, and they don't feel heavy. They're walking barefooted, even when anything cuts them. Now that's the manic phase. And then there are those moments when you find he's too tired, or he just chooses to sleep for 3 days. Now that is the depressive. So if someone has bipolar, they have a combination of depression and mania. But bipolar is of 2 stages. There is bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. There is the excess one, and then there is the one that is a little low. So it is all dependent on the patient. Some patients have bipolar 1 and others have bipolar 2, where bipolar 1 is mild and bipolar 2 is the most weird one. So you will find that some days in my encounters were bad days, where I did not want to speak to anyone, nor eat, neither bathe. nothing. I just want doors closed all on myself. That means then depression was taking on. And then another day comes, I want to read all my novels, I want to read all my journals, I want to do all those things, I want to clean my house. That means...
And you can't do it all at the same time.
I mean, you're trying to do this, and you're doing this, and you're doing that, because you think you can do it all. Now, that means it is elevating from the depressive side, leading you to the manic side. So mania can be as worse as someone throwing stones around, as someone trying to climb a house. That is mania. So if you have bipolar, you have both of them in one. So that is what bipolar is, and that is what I was diagnosed with 7 years back.
When you were going through a phase of crisis where you were a danger to yourself and a danger to the people that were around you, was there a moment where you felt like you were mismanaged?
Yes, very true. And sometimes when I recall some moments, I get teary. Sometimes people think it's a fake, but I'm just human. My maternals one time decided to take me to my paternal side. Maybe they thought there was room for treatment or something of the sort. And my paternals, I did not grow up with them, and I don't have lots of clues about them. So the people that were with my paternals would tie me up on ropes from morning to evening. And they could barely give me anything to eat.
Morning to evening.
Because I would get lost if they didn't tie me up. So they were not doing it in bad heart. They would tie me up on ropes that the first 2 years, the scars stayed on my hands of the ropes that they would tie me on. They would tie me on poles, and they would barely give me anything to eat. So I would get too hungry, too hungry, that I would see maybe kids playing around, trying to prepare small foods for themselves as games. And I would tell them to give me that food to eat.
Did you ever ask them when they just refused to give you the food?
I think they didn't just mind about me, just like most Africans think about mental health. Most people think we, the people that have mental illnesses, when you are down, they think you are mad, you are not important. So you're just seen as a by the way.
And when they're eating, they don't even think about you?
These were people who would wake up in the morning and they go and come back in the evening.
Wow.
So I would be on my own, and I was too hungry all those times. And worst of all, tying me up on ropes. Sometimes it's traumatizing to death.
I find it dangerous because we are going as far as acknowledging the fact that people who are known in their mental state of wellness are susceptible to abuse. So for them to tie you on the ropes and leave you on your own,
It was better that way, because I would escape from home and they wouldn't know where I would be. And in the locality, they would hear more about rapists.
Exactly.
So they thought better I stayed at home on ropes than being raped in the neighborhood or the locality.
So you were indoors?
No way, just in the same things as my family's house, better known to exposed to the community. I'd just be at the backyard, just tied at the pole.
And then how about the children that you're saying?
The children will be in the yard with me. Maybe they just come around and they are playing around.
It's not that they are coming from the neighborhood?
No way.
Oh, okay.
Children that belong to the same paternity family like I do. Yeah.
Because I was imagining, oh my goodness, anyone can come in and harm you.
No, the reason as to why my paternal family chose to lock me up is because one day I escaped. And when I escaped, they found me at some hilly place. I was talking to God. That's what I told them. I told them, let them leave me. And I talked to God because I was in the Garden of Eden. So at that hilly place, there would be men who would be taking their drugs. So that is when they were saying, this girl is going to be raped here. So they had a solution of tying me up. So they did not do it out of rage or victimizing me. They were just helping me.
Food.
The only problem was I got too hungry.
Exactly.
Yeah. And my mom one time came and picked me up and took me back to the hostage of my maternals. And that's when I was taken to hospital and admitted and then discharged on the 27th of December. True.
So even when you were at your paternal family's place, you weren't on medication?
No, they were using the local treatment to treat me. That was steaming or herbs for bathing. They would do anything in their reach. I'm so grateful for my two families because that time everyone did whatever it takes to see me better. Just recall I had just graduated with an honors, and you just imagine just 8 months down the road, this girl is just insane. Insane in the courts. They don't allow us to say that about ourselves. That's it, yeah.
And you talked about on Saturday when you're speaking to us, the people that were present for the mental health run, you talked about how you used to sleep a lot.
When I was discharged in 2015, I was told I'm going to take medication forever.
Forever.
That's true, which I've been taking for the last 7 years. I then got vulnerable to sleep, and I have slept for a whole 6 years, where I would sleep for more than 14 hours a night, all day, because I would take my medication at 8, then fall to sleep and wake up the next day at midday. And that happened for 6 years. I don't know why it was happening. I was asking my psychiatrists every day, and then I would do research. I would Google here and there, but it didn't happen. I prayed to God. I talked to the men of God and women of God, but still it didn't help. I tried because opportunities would come around, opportunities from school, opportunities from hospitals, the recommendations people had got about me. So I would do part-time work, or maybe if it's a task to be done in the afternoon, I would do that, because regardless of the sleep, there's nothing that has been bothering me. Yes.
And what do you think we misunderstand when it comes to mental health? For the time that you have been practicing as a therapist and as someone who has also suffered mentally,
I believe Africans, we have not gotten the right knowledge about mental health, because most Africans think that mental health is spiritual. And people think that when you're mentally down, you either have annoyed the ancestors, either you have stolen someone's husband and they are paying back, either it's revenge. Last time I had someone in the taxi say, I no longer see a mad person on the road and pity them. Those people have done wrong things.
Wow.
And I was in that same taxi and I was like, oh God, we need to sensitize a lot. Now, that is what we think. And on the other side, the Western world has embraced that mental health is an illness, just like malaria is. That is the misconception about mental health. People are thinking that the causes of mental health are just African related. Yet research has shown that environment has a lot to do with the mental illnesses.
Right. What message would you want to leave the listeners?
First and foremost, everyone can be happy, but there are times when you can be sad. There is no one in the world that has it all, but your mental health must be your priority.
Right.
I want the listeners to know how to take good care of their sanity, because if you're not sane, you cannot do anything on your own. I've been vulnerable before. I can't forget some of the effects that have come with my vulnerability, where some people thought of me a loser. I don't want people to get there. And then if someone needs an ear, or if someone needs a hug to feel better, this should be to us all, because not everyone that goes to hospital is clinically sick. Some people are just mentally not okay, and they just need an ear. That is the first thing I have to say, that all of us, be it mentally sick patients, all those that don't have mental diagnosis, we have had good and bad days. So the listeners should know that it's like just a season. There's the dry season and the wet season. In moments when it's the dry season, don't forget that there's going to be winter sometime. And when winter comes, you have to hold strong, because summer is also coming along the way. That's the first thing people have to know. And the second thing is people have to acknowledge that no man is an island. When you are struggling, talk to someone. At one time, I believe that maybe if I had been helped, I would not have had the breakdown.
If you had talked to someone.
Maybe if I went and explained my ordeal to a counselor, or maybe to a person who would give me better advice.
Did you know the words to you? Sometimes it hurts so much you can't even find better ways of describing it. No wonder I told you in the start that when I went to the hospital nearby, I was crying, and the medical personnel were just asking me what is wrong. And you couldn't say.
Maybe that time I just needed a hug. Maybe that time I needed to cry it out, and the environment was not helpful. That's why I said that no man is an island. When you see someone being down, sometimes I notice my friends go silent. That is when I check in and I'm like, what's not happening? Because why the silence? And we need each other. People should no one think that the world is full of frustrations and pains before you think that you can make it on your own. Just know that also people who are struggling and you need to help them. That means that everyone doesn't need one to be a therapist or a psychiatrist or psychologist to help. Because some of these things we can just talk about them. If I've been heartbroken in a relationship and you also have an encounter, we can talk about it. Actually, I may tell you, you know what? Let's just have a walk. And that's going to relieve you from maybe suicide or something of the sort that very day.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I have to tell people that the life that we lead was prescribed by someone that is supernatural, irrespective of what people call them, or God, or Allah, or anything. That is that supernatural being that will know how you feel when no human does.
Yeah.
Now, in everyone's silent moments, let them have time to talk to that supernatural being, because some people don't want to call him or God. But I believe that there is this person who can know your mute moments. And when you feel low, I've seen people who say that knees don't lie. Yes.
That's a new one.
Sometimes I just go to my knees and I'm like, God, I am so tired of this. I know my fiancé won't understand me. My mom cannot bear my pain. This coldness is just for me. And then lastly, everyone should know that no one feels your coldness. However much someone loves you, they will not feel what you feel.
Right.
People can just relate with your pain unless someone has had the same experience, but truthfully saying they won't still feel what you feel. People have been heartbroken in relationships, and someone says mine was cheating, and another says this one was violent, another says mine was raping my daughters, things of the sort. But they will all say they were heartbroken. The fact that no one feels how you feel, or no one can bear your burden. Learn to take care of yourself. Courage should be everyone's portion. When I'm in my offices, I always tell people that you must be courageous. And the dictionary defines courage as the choice or willingness to be able to stand against agony or stressing moments. It doesn't say that is the ability, but rather the choice. So it takes a choice for me to choose and say, this is a bad friend. I don't need her anywhere in my life.
Yeah.
Because she's toxic and she's going to damage me. And then for people that have mental illnesses, a hug to everyone and prayers for you, because I have been there. I am still there. Some days are very bad. Some days you don't want to leave your bed. And other days you are excited. But it is one day at a time. If you manage to take your food, don't forget to take your medicine, no matter what people speak about medicine.
Yeah.
I'll conclude this by saying people who think that prayer is the only way of healing mentally. I am a born-again Christian. I pray, but I still take my medicine. It hurts me a lot when I see people tied up at churches on chains to stay calm. It is very okay. Take this patient to a psychiatry as you do the praying. Let this person receive an injection to remain calm as they do the praying. But it kills me every time I see people tied up on chains. It traumatizes me and brings back the memories. Because I'm no longer on chains. I just take my medicine. I have learned how to take care of myself. Africans, we need to know and have to sensitize and get aware that mental health is real, just like HIV is, just like malaria. But worst bit of mental health, it doesn't heal. It's just manageable with drugs. So for everyone, they need to take good care of themselves.
I'm going to take you back a little bit, which I find very important. When we talk about the truth of having children coming from toxic environments and coming to as far as adulthood, suffering mentally from something that they should have been saved from, right from the grassroots. Do you see this in your school where you teach?
Yes, I do. There is a time, being a teacher of English language, I have known how to nurture these children. I'll get information I need to get from them. One day I'm at school and I ask my learners to write for me a story with their worst experience. And that is when Alana writes to me telling them how they are raped by their stepfather. They are defiled because she was not even 18, just a senior 2 scholar. And I could not believe my eyes. I read the story. I got teary-eyed because this is Alana who explained to me. And in her story, she was telling me not to tell anyone. Isn't it a blessing? Do you think I still regret being a teacher? This Lana was telling me how the father mounts her in the holidays when the mother is not around. And the father says that in case she does not accept, she won't get fees or even fended for food and necessities. It's so heartbreaking. How do you open up the news to the administration or to the mother either? Now, that is one of the encounters that I've had. And I'm like, okay, this generation has to be saved. Another time, Lana writes to me about how they struggle to get fees that his parents passed on, and he sells vegetables in the evenings when he goes back home to raise his fees. And this is a boy of just 15 years. And he says when he grows old, he will get a wife and will have a family where he will have to take good care of his children. That's when I knew that children are coming from broken families. No wonder I always tell my fellows that we are in the same profession that we should not just go to class to teach. We should go to class to nurture these children. Sometimes you're teaching a learner who was defiled yesterday, who was molested yesterday. It takes a lot of knowledge or even just passion to you to locate and know that this child is not okay today.
Right.
And as a teacher or as a facilitator, what have you done to see that we stop this stigmatization? Because the emptiness that these children go through reflects on them even when they become adults. You have noticed that children that have come from broken marriages or broken families, sometimes they do the same mistakes because they have not had a nurturer or an example to follow into. I grew up with a single mama. She was a single parent. And being a mother, she groomed me with the best she can, a peasant farmer. And the best she could give me is fees. And this rest of knowledge that a child must know, I was not given unto. Because maybe it's a father figure who is supposed to give that knowledge. But I missed it out. No wonder when I grew up to become a woman, I thought when I meet a man is going to be like a father. And no wonder I got so connected with my ex-boyfriend that I think at one time is one of the triggers of my mental breakdown. So that means that these children we are with in school, majority may seem they can afford the fees, but we don't know what is behind, that is happening behind the curtains of these children.
Right.
And so it means that these children that we are having, as we are teaching them to have grades, we should also consider their mental health must be priority. Because no child is going to get good grades when they were defiled yesterday. No child is going to get good grades whenever I come to class, I'm traumatizing them, telling them how they come from poor backgrounds.
Oh, most teachers do that actually.
I'm so sorry on their behalf. I'm so sorry because we do not know what our learners go through. Most times we just look on the face. Now, literally, what do I do as a teacher? When I go to class, I first ask my learners, good morning. And they'll respond and ask them, how is everyone? Because literally when we were growing up, they were asking us, how are you? And it was an automatic answer, fine. Lately, what I do, I'm like, who is not okay? And that is when learners tell me, this one, I tell them, those that are not okay, raise up your hands. I go to them and I ask them why they are not okay. I have been doing that for all the years I've been teaching. I get to know why a child is not okay. Those small reasons a learner may tell me that I am hungry because I didn't eat posho. I felt like not eating it. And I know the right words to tell that learner. I am doing my grooming, but at the same time, I am teaching these learners. Yes, true.
What message would you want to leave for the parents and any person who is an adult in a child's life?
Parents and caretakers or guardians of children. Children do not only need material things. Yes, I am so glad you pay the fees. You buy those beautiful clothes and you take the children for KFC and Cafe Java's chicken out. All those things, you are doing them. But there are some things that money cannot buy that your children need. Children need attention. Children need care. Children need to be understood. You should be very keen not to leave your children in the hands of nannies all the time. Let your children be your best friends. Let a child have the accessibility to you anytime. Let a child tell you their fears. Some of you guardians and some parents are so rude. When children notice your back, they rush to their bedrooms. Some of you are too busy on your laptops. Some of you are too busy that you don't even know the classes of the children you're paying fees for. Some of you don't even turn up for visitation days while other parents are there. Those are so small things. And before you think that I have given my child school fees, I have bought them juice and milk and all those fantasies of life. Those things expire. But a child's mental health is key, because if they are damaged from childhood, that means they are prone to be affected in their future.
Right. Thank you so much, Jackie.
You are welcome. Thank you very much for hosting me.
My takeaway from this episode is that you need to take care of your sanity. The same way how Jackie emphasized it is the way I want you to take it serious. You need your sanity to be able to move forward in this life. This is the last episode of Hashtag with Nabuguzi Chwanuka in September, and that also means that Suicide Prevention Awareness Month is coming to an end. By Saturday, we shall be entering October. We shall be in October. It will be 1st October. So I have a word puzzle that I created this week, and it rolled out, I think, on Tuesday. So I posted it on all social media platforms where the podcast is existent. That is on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. All the different platforms have its rules of engagement when it comes to playing this game, like playing is in quotes. What we are doing, what I intended to achieve out of the puzzle is raise more awareness as to what causes suicidal thoughts. So I would like for us to end this with some more awareness or more clarity as to what really causes these suicidal thoughts. They're different, so you have to go to the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and find out what it is that might cause someone to have suicidal thoughts. When you list all the causes in the word puzzle, you stand a chance to win 1.5 gigabytes. Okay, when I talk about you, right now I'm focusing on Ugandans because I've only partnered with Ugandan companies, and one is Safari Share and the other one is Kampala Counseling Services. They are the ones providing us the gifts for the winners. And yes, just go right there on social media, engage with us, engage with the puzzle, stand a chance to win yourself 1.5 GB. Who doesn't know one internet? I mean, when you get the 1.5 GB, you're going to be able to come back and listening to some of the episodes. Okay, if you want. It's not a must. You can listen into other episodes that you missed out on, or go on YouTube and watch your favorite, I don't know, do anything with the internet. And it's not going to be limited. It's going to be the kind of freedom bundles. That is for MTN, and for Airtel, it's going to be Chillax. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Hashtag with Nabuguzi Chwanuka. If you loved what you heard, make sure you subscribe to Hashtag with Nabuguzi Chwanuka on your podcast platform of choice and share it with your friends, loved ones, and anyone that you believe is affected by the millennial world around us. Also, feel free to share your insights about what connected with you on social media, and be sure to tag us. We are at Hashtag with Nabuguzi Chwanuka on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter, our handle is at HTNK Podcast. If you are looking for more insightful conversations that are away from the podcast, visit nabuguzichwanuka.com. There's so much more that you may not have heard on the podcast or anywhere in your life. For anyone who needs mental health services, that is help, please reach out to me on Nabuguzi at, this is an email, nabuguzi@nabuguzichwanuka.com. nabuguzi@nabuguzichwanuka.com. Reach out to me and I will be able to connect you to the people that are going to be of help. Catch you next month, and until then, remember to take care of your sanity.